All right, so a while ago, I posted something on doing quarter squats and how it does not improve to the actual sprint performance. So I want to get a little more detailed about it. So in that video, I was doing quarter squats with 675 pounds on my back, and it actually still felt like butter. So the problem with that was I actually ran out of room on the barbell, and it just didn't really help my performance at all. But with low help at physics and my buddy Ethan, we pulled up some formulas to determine the amount of force times body weight you would experience when altitude drops. So this is just the eccentric, the landing, and we did everything with a tenth of a second. So falling off a box, you have a tenth of a second to control the force, and this is kind of how we calculated it. So an 80 kilogram male, which is that's my body weight. So I weigh 80 kilograms, and then we just plugged into this basic physics formula. Took us a little while and a couple of calculators later, but in conclusion, what we found was if you fall off a 39-inch box or a 1 meter box, you weigh 180 pounds or 80 kilograms, and you absorb that force in a tenth of a second, which should be normal time if you do it correctly. Off of that height box, you experience 811 pounds of force at the landing. So that is a moment of impact. You have an imaginary 800-pound barbell on your back loading your legs. Now, if we decrease that height to 30 inches, that actually still decreases it to 709 pounds, but that is still higher than the quarter squats I was doing at 675 pounds. Now, obviously, this is only the eccentric part, the stretching part, and we're only working half the equation. But when it comes to athletic performance, the eccentric braking is one of the number one factors when it comes to improving performance. For my master's project when I was finishing up here in grad school, that was eccentric braking, peak power, and RSI were the three biggest improvements we saw for sprint performance. And so this is just one side to the equation. But really cool to see how altitude drops are actually more impactful on your body and your joints than loading up a bar and doing sprint-specific positions with the quarter squat. Just a few other examples. Still weighing 80 kilograms in that tenth of a second. If we crank that box to 1.5 meters, or that is about 60 inches, you're experiencing 1,100 pounds of force on that landing, on that impact. And then for those of you that do not have a box and need to use dumbbells or something to increase that force, what we found was for a 180-pound male or 80 kilogram person, if you just hold 20 kilos or if you hold 10 kilogram dumbbells, that will improve that force on landing to be equivalent with a 40-inch box if you only have access to a 30-inch box. So again, you have a 30-inch box, you weigh 180 pounds, and you hold 20 kilograms worth of dumbbells, that force upon landing will be the same as if you fell off a 40-inch box or a 1 meter tall box. And then one more thing, we use the standard of a tenth of a second on that eccentric braking. Obviously, we don't have a way to measure that. We don't have the technology or the tools. This is just a ballpark estimate. But if you really decrease that landing on the eccentric braking and you land super rigid and stiff, just by decreasing it by 0.03 at the same height box, at a meter high box or 40 inches, you go from 4.5 times body weight, which is 800 pounds, to 6.45 times body weight, which is, I think it was around 1,000 pounds, just by decreasing the amount of time you have to slow down. So the more rigid you land, the more forces you have impacting your body.